Hello, everybody. I'm Howie, and I have an illustrious cast of characters with us tonight for this recording. But first, we want to mention our longtime sponsor, and that would be DJ Event Planner. And you can find them at www.djeventplanner.com. And the rest of our sponsors will be down below when this video is published to many places. We'd appreciate your support. They're in blue, so they're hyperlinks, and you can get right to them. Now, let me introduce my cast of characters, and on my screen, I'll go left to right. We have Buddy with us. Thank you for being here, Buddy. We have the one and only Brian is Red. Thank you for being here, Brian. And we have Eric with us. Thank you for being here, Eric. And from Swinging, Temecula, California, the one and only Jay.
Irish goodbye.
Hey, Irish
already.
And okay, now my screen just switched up for some reason. And as always, my road dog. Boston.
It's a drinking game.
Apple cider.
And let's see.
Welcome to Monday. It's a drinking game.
Okay, for the longest time, it must be 6 months or a year, we have Scott Carroll with us from, I guess,
somewhere in Jacksonville. I don't know, Florida.
Somewhere down there where it's super hot.
Yeah, deep down south
or central.
Nice. And I am saving Matt Ames for last because, Matt, I am going to hand this off to you. Matt made a really, what I thought was a very insightful post on one of the forums this week. And I asked him if he would do sort of a recap and then, we can all give our opinions on that sort of thing. So, Matt, I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you for being here.
All right. Thank you. All right. So far, nothing's burned down yet, but the night is young. So I am going to share my screen and hopefully in the process, not duplicate us too badly here. Okay. So the topic I wanted to talk about, that Howie touched on is something that I've seen a lot. First of all, I'm a tech nerd. I know Brian likes to make fun of me when we do our record roundups on the other show, and I always hold my phone up. But it's like I know my way around that stuff. I know my gear cycles and all of that. So something I've been tuned in with lately, and I believe, and I know Jay and others could tell me for sure, or Brian, any of you could keep me honest here. 2023 has been a jam-packed year for gear releases. And although I don't mention any of them here too, I've heard of a variety of services that didn't necessarily come out this year, but the review cycle started up. Some different planning services, some different services to add tags to your crates and things like that. So a wealth of services, accessories, and gears. So I do have just a brief timeline on that. And I base this timeline around a review cycle. So I know some of these products might have a different street date than what I have listed off here, but this is just looking at, as best as I can gather, when I've started to see them make the rounds on YouTube and amongst several of the YouTubers who review a lot of products. And of course, that's something that's helpful to all of us at times, not to mention having friends in the industry and one on our show, of course. And so just looking over this, and then I'll tell you where I'm going with it. So one of the first things I noticed this year, and it really jumped out to me because I noticed it probably a couple of weeks after I made my speaker purchases, were the Pioneer XPRS2s that came out. And then this has just been a huge year for Pioneer and new releases. And then, of course, Rain and Reloop, Newmark, and some others getting in there as well. I mean, my gosh, Pioneer releasing A9, so a new club standard mixer. And then later on in March, I'm just kind of skipping around here a little bit. Later on in March, the Flex 10 that just, I would have thought that the DDJ 1000 and 1000 SRT would be near irreplaceable. I mean, those have definitely been the industry standard in DJ controllers. And then here comes the Flex 10 and just really builds on to that. Rain came out with Rain 4. They came out with Rain 1, I think, last year or maybe the year before that. Jetpack Bags had some releases in February and in April as far as gear to carry your DJ equipment around in. So in February, I caught the hype train and got that Jetpack Glide system. And then in April, I'm like, oh, great. Now they have a backpack that looks just perfect too. So it's like, I run into what I'm wanting to talk about some myself here. Wow, I'm running out of page here. It looks like the video's over some of this timeline on my screen. Anyway, other mixers come out. Reloops come out with a mixer. Reloops come out with a controller. Pioneer also has the much larger and standalone Opus Quad. Speaker systems, like I said, from Pioneer. RCF, I think the TT515A and 808AS have been out for maybe a year or so, but I noticed sort of a wave of reviews and a push for them this year. So that's why I wanted to put them on this timeline. And then LD with the Maui going from the G2 series up to the G3. Newmark with the portability, with that Mixstream Pro Go, and also Bose with the portability, with the S1 Pro Plus, which I'm sure somebody who might have just bought an S1 Pro from Bose or another speaker like Everse 8 might see that and go, oh, great. If only I'd known this would come out. And if that doesn't already give you at times some fear of missing out, all of this stuff, of course, is hyped up and by people like this. And nothing against the review trains here. This is part of the marketing. This is part of the sales. It's part of all of it. YouTubers like this get products, they're able to review them, and they're able to tell us about them. So we're all the time seeing a lot of our favorite DJ, YouTuber influences talking about products, talking about new releases, and potentially giving us, even though this might not be their intention of it, it might be giving us the feeling of, oh man, we can't live without any of this stuff. But the post that I had made was that Howie was referring to was to remind people that, not only are we just in June, so the year's half over, and we've gotten all of these new products, and that was nowhere near all of them. Those were just some of the bigger ones. Mm-hmm. But it's really just a reminder to not feel pressured. If you have a DDJ 1000 and you just bought it last year or the year before, you don't have to feel pressure to run out and get the Flex 10. If that's something that's still working for you and it's doing well, I understand there might be some features on these new products that are good for you, and really assess that before you make any buying decisions. And you really want to take the emotion out of it. And I want to say you can appreciate new products, but also appreciate what you have. So there's a reason that you made the purchasing decisions that you did. There's reasons that you've chosen the solutions that you have. And even though these new things may come along and look flashy and ideal, I have lost my mouse. Hopefully I can get out of this share here. Oh, there we go. I kind of wanted to pick everybody's brain on that. I think from what I know about a lot of you all, and of course I know some of you may test a lot of this newer stuff when it comes out. what are some of the ways that you deal with that FOMO, that fear of missing out when the latest and greatest comes along? Or what advice do you give to anybody that feels like they have to get every new thing that comes out?
I'll go if I can.
Go ahead, Eric.
I am one of those guys, and some may not like this or not, but I'm one of the guys that if what I have is working and doing what I need it to do, I don't need to run out and get the latest thing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when it comes time to where I have to upgrade because something's not working, then I'll get the latest and greatest. I don't run out every year and just I'm going to have a closet full of stuff, a room full, if I keep doing that. So, I mean, that's my opinion. I never feel pressured by it. And if a DJ does that, that's great. Oh, hey, that's great. You know, at least I know where to go to get reviews if I need it. But I'm not one to just run out and get it unless I absolutely need it. But
have you know? Yeah, and to add on to this too, have y'all noticed sort of an uptick in the? I think a lot of that's the supply chain catching up, and also all of the DJ conventions getting back in the swing. But have you all also noticed that sort of an uptick and an unusual amount of stuff just coming out in this past 6 months? That you know, every time you turn around, you might think, "Oh man, I'm obsolete already," when you're actually not.
Just like computers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, actually, you did mention that in your. It was a pretty long dissertation, but it was very interesting about, you know, the lifespan of gear and so forth. How, you know, you may have to, you know, some people get new phones every 2 or 3 years based on the contract. But if you have things that are working, and you mentioned that, and I think it's true that, you know, most DJ gear will last much longer than 4 or 5 years. And if it's working, I agree. Why fix something that's working just to have the latest? No clients ever care about that. They don't care.
Yeah. Let me, let me ask the gentleman in the forum here who maybe spends the most time with newer gear, Mr. Brannon, Mr. J, DJ J. What would you say would be some good reasons to make a buying decision that, like, okay, this thing's come out. Yes, I've checked all of these boxes here. Now it's time to pull the trigger.
Well, I'm in a really weird position because I'm involved in the product planning. I'm involved in, you know, a lot of the progress of gear.
Right.
And I know things that I don't divulge to anybody. And that's just been my take on it for the last 18 years. But I've also been involved in the forums for Pioneer DJ and social media. And I've always maintained the same response when someone says, hey, you just launched this new thing. Should I go get it and sell my gear? And I've always been quoted, and you can look it up and find my name and this quote: you buy the best gear you can afford when you need it. Period.
I like that.
Simply to me means, and I spoke with a DJ who all of you know, and I won't name, this morning, who did a gig over the weekend with his DDJ SX2 and didn't explain it, didn't give me a reason for it. I said, how'd the gig go? Good. What'd you use? I used the SX2. Oh, cool. Everything go good? Yeah. This same DJ has an Opus Quad and a Flex 10.
Whew. Okay.
Now, the gear you use should be based on its reliability, your understanding of it. You know, when new gear comes out, due to technology, it has to be upgraded to a level that makes it worth purchasing. But it may be things that you don't need. And I don't think you necessarily need to run out. Matt, you're younger than I am. You need to understand 20 years ago, mobile DJs bought what they needed, not what they wanted. Mm-hmm. 20 years ago, I owned two CDJ 1000s and a 600 mixer. As a mobile wedding DJ, I was using the top end club setup, and DJs were blown away by it. I got a deal on it. I won one of my CDJ 1000s. The other one, I got VIP pricing. The 600, I got VIP pricing. I pulled the trigger because I wanted the system that I knew was the strongest in the club market, where DJs made six figures. I thought, oh, that's what I'll use for weddings because it'll last forever. I used that until I was asked to upgrade to an MEP 7000 in 2009. Mm-hmm. And then I went to a controller in 2011. But that system ran for 7 years. No issue, no problems. It was amazing. It did probably 80 events a year. And I never looked twice at it because I had gear that worked. I view my gear just like I view a hammer. If it puts the nail in every time, I keep using the hammer. If the hammer breaks, I replace it. My attitude with speakers is the same thing. I use two speakers at every gig. If one of the two speakers blows a woofer, I replace both of them because I use, and I think Brian will probably agree, and Howie will probably agree, and John will probably agree, and maybe you will too. I treat speakers like I treat headlights. Mm-hmm. When my left headlight goes out, chances are good that I'm not far off my right one going out.
Yeah.
So it's time to replace both headlights.
That's like your air conditioner going out and you not replacing the heater if it's a separate unit too. It's like you might as well do it all at. Talking about
what? If you're if you're going to expand your performance, and again, I don't want to derail this and go into this diatribe, but I have this talk with Brian and Pulse and John and other people. The modern DJ today in 2023 has much more access to money than the DJ did in 2003. DJs bought the Newmark CDN 88 dual deck players because they worked, they were good, they bought the Denon, they bought the Pioneer, they bought whoever. But they showed up with a little 19-inch rack mount case and they DJ'd their gig and they made their money. Today, DJs are on this, I want the latest and greatest thing. Well, if you don't even understand how it works, don't buy it. Wait. But if you do understand it, I mean, I use the XDJ XZ and I have for 3 years. And I'll be blunt. I was not a fan of it a year before it came out. I looked at it and said, nope, too heavy, too big. It's not going to work. Doesn't make sense. No one's going to like this. And then when COVID hit in 2020, I got it in January to show it at Mobile Beat in February or March. And within 2 weeks of having it at home, the lights all went off and I was like, this is the greatest piece of gear ever. And by the way, today, that's what I'm using. I don't use other gear that's already newer. I'm using the XZ that's 3 years old. I'll use it until I can't use it. So my advice to people is, if the newest piece of gear that has stems and different screens works best for you and you can afford it, go buy it. And I'll leave my comments on this. I had to post a remark this morning on a social media page for one of the great DJ manufacturers. I won't say which one. And someone said, one of the posts was about backup gear. And the DJ said, or the person said, I thought you guys trusted your gear. You make the most expensive, best gear in the world. What's the deal? You think we need backup? And I simply said, hello. We have no concerns or issues with the sturdiness and reliability of our gear, period. And then I said this, and so far I haven't seen a comeback. But no one I've ever met jumps with only one parachute.
Right. Right.
I always use two.
I've never gone to a gig in my career where I didn't have two full systems. And by full systems, the ceremony and the reception, But if, God forbid, something happened to my reception system, I can go take my ceremony system and continue my job. Even if it's a $80 item, always have your backup. So if you need to sell your present gear to buy the new gear, as an industry expert, in my opinion, you're not ready for the new gear yet. You're not. Excellent. If you have to sell everything, it's not a car. This isn't buying the new Mustang by selling the old Mustang. This is DJ equipment. You have to have backup. And if your backup has worked as your main setup for 8, 9, 10 years, it'll probably work for another 8 or 9, 10 years, at least as backup. So again, I could do this for the next 6 hours. So I want to make sure everyone else has a voice. So I will let myself go on that one.
I wanted to read. Thank you. Just to redirect it a little bit. Another thing I see a lot on a lot of the Facebook groups. And
fine. My other thought. Oh no, go ahead.
And you sit in on some DJs live streams. A lot of people, a lot of the back and forth in the comments and the posts tend to be, do you prefer, should I get this or this? Which one's better? Or people are already like, what's the best speakers? Which is like asking, and I'm stealing this from another DJ in my area, where he responded one time and said, that's like asking what the best ice cream flavor is, like everybody's going to have their opinion. And, but are y'all seeing like more, or do y'all think that the reason that there's more and more of that, more quote unquote analysis paralysis, is because we are just so inundated with reviews and unboxings and things like this these days? Now I've seen that a lot in the, when new phones come out, when new computers come out. I've been pretty tuned into that world for a while. Y'all see that as the reason that a lot of people are reaching out and asking those questions to other DJs?
By the way, just because a guy does a review, look at his YouTube or Instagram channel in 2 months. If he's at a gig using other gear, it was a paid review or it was a favor review.
Right.
That doesn't mean you should take it as gospel.
Right. Or at least a review unit, right, that you send back a couple of weeks later or a week later.
Yeah, that's it.
I think Brian can address this pretty well. He's a conservative purchaser as well as doing reviews.
Yeah, I would think that, and too, Brian, I would think that you're maybe more than any of us, you really make sure that whatever gear purchasing decisions that you make or anything that you continue to use is really functionality driven for your needs. I mean, I guess we all are that way, but I mean, I know you have some smaller setups than us normally for reasons.
Well, and he doesn't do reviews. He does demos.
Yes.
You'll have to excuse me. If I have to listen to people talk for more than 15 minutes before interjecting, I do zone out a little bit.
That's okay.
Your question was what? Because you asked a follow-up question, and I was trying to understand what it was. Was it something in regards to like purchasers' hot buttons and why they feel like they need others to justify their purchases with the videos? Is that what you were asking? Did I understand that properly?
Yeah, that was
follow-up.
Yeah, that's the gist of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here's some stuff. Every DJ has hot buttons. Now they're all different. So it's just like anything else. I mean, I have bought one new car in my lifetime. One. And it was a budget car. It was a $14,000 car in the mid-90s with my daughter's mother. The only new car I ever owned. And the only reason we bought it is because she had totaled her car and we needed a car. Mm-hmm. So we bought a new car. We needed it right now and we bought it. But I've never bought a new car because I don't care about having a new car. I don't need my neighbors to say, "Ooh, look, he's got a new car over there." I need something that runs, and I need something that gets me from A to B and serves my purposes. And yeah, the joy of driving is nice too, but I don't need a new car. I'm just not that guy. Some people need a new car every year, and I'm really thankful for them because it gives me the opportunity to buy used cars off of them after they've already taken the depreciation. So I'm totally cool with that. Some people do need the new car, though. Some people need the new gear. And I don't know why I'm not that demographic. But there is a demographic out there that needs the latest and greatest. There are tech heads out there who really feel like if they don't have something, they are missing out. Now, in the equipment company's defense, they're in business to make money.
Oh, yeah.
If Pioneer made a DJ controller thing, it was the last one you ever needed, they would go out of business because their job is to make better things all the time. That's what they want to do. They want to entice the buyer to upgrade, because there are buyers out there that upgrade.
Right.
And as tech improves too, it's a natural evolution, right? Why wouldn't you want to build something with all these new, not bells and whistles per se, but advances, I guess, I mean, if it's there and it can improve a functionality, like, why not? All right. I kind of just wanted to open it up. I think we have about 3-4 minutes left, something like that. We got to stick to 30, don't we?
We've got 3 people that didn't get any input.
Yeah.
Scott,
You all get 30 seconds.
Scott,
Apparently, yeah.
Scott, now you bought the DJ event table. Do you actually see that thing falling apart in 10 years? I mean, no, talking to Scott Carroll. I mean, it's like it's
durable.
It's a great piece of equipment. I mean,
The only thing I've had to replace on it has been the little screws, little nuts that hold the bars.
You don't need them.
Really?
I took them off mine. I don't use them.
Wow.
They do nothing.
Well, you better not tell my wife that.
The table holds itself together with the bars. The screws are redundant. You don't need them. I'm just telling you. The bars aren't going to jump out vertically from, the table support bars are not going to jump out vertically. The screws are absolutely 100% redundant. Take them off your system. They're just going to fall off and piss you off. They're not needed.
Well, they were wobbly.
A week from now, Scott Carroll's complete system falls apart. Brian S. Red sued.
Well, Brian S. Red was the guy who introduced the Pro Event table to the world.
He did.
The company who made that table said, "We don't know about this." I said, "Oh, I do. This is dope." They're like, "No, I don't think anyone's going to like it." I said, "No, they are going to like it." They said, "Well, it needs something else." I said, "Yeah, kind of like a mini truck needs something else. That's why you buy a base mini truck and you put rims on it and stripes on it and a stereo in it. Let them customize it." And people still do.
Yeah.
It's a good piece.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of pieces that I like to turn people on to.
I use that table 95% of the time. I mean, I haven't even painted it yet. I haven't, I don't know whether or not, a lot of them have painted them black with that.
They've been powder coated black.
Powder coat. Yeah. They look good.
And I thought about
Brian's looks amazing.
Off topic, but aluminum, if you scratch it, no one's going to see it from over 5 feet away. So I think the naked, if you will, Pro Event table in aluminum is brilliant. You can throw the thing around and abuse the hell out of it, and nobody cares.
Nobody else
is going to see it but you.
Yeah.
So I treat it like truss,
It goes back to car sales days, right? Where it's like, ooh, that's a 5-footer or 10-footer.
Yeah, but it's naked aluminum. It's not like, okay, powder coating, if you chip it or scratch it, it can show up. But on like an aluminum, thing that's not going to rust or stain or anything else, no one's ever going to see that. So I would treat it like concert dressing.
You could put 1 or 2, coin lights underneath, and that thing looks spectacular. I wouldn't paint one.
That's the reason I've left it. I've been like, you know what? This doesn't look bad in the pictures. And just
it looks great.
And in fact, the car that nobody knows that I went to Home Depot and bought that plastic coronated cardboard. Imagine that.
Yep.
Right.
Gee, what a neat idea. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Velcroed. I have it Velcroed on the inside, but nobody would ever know that it's, I want nobody to see nothing.
We would know, but
because you told us and it ruined the whole
and that
Disney fantasy for us.
Yeah. So we're going to go to your events and go, I know that DJ, and guess what's behind the curtain?
That's in Velcro inside.
Yeah.
You sure?
It makes a difference on his performance,
Just like
that's why no one's dancing. They know the Velcro's inside.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like the magic.
That's what matters.
Yes.
That's what matters. Yeah. Please the client. Yeah. Wow. Let's see. Who haven't we gotten to here? Buddy, go ahead. We'll save Boss John for last.
Okay. I can't say that, I am always latest and greatest in buying stuff, but I do look to what is the next bigger thing. Like Sterilites, I have those, stuff like that. I look at and how can I improve my services? If I'm charging a decent dollar, I need to have those decent things, and having those next new things are nice to have. But again, do I have the clientele to back that up? Do I have the customers to back it up? Am I going to make the money off that investment? That's something I feel DJs need to look at. And are they going to make back the money they're putting out for something? So they go out and buy the latest greatest, whatever it is. And if they're not going to make money on it by either enhancing their setup or operating as an option for their clientele, then they're losing money. They're spending money unwisely. And that's the thing, is that whatever you buy, what you invest in, two things, like Jay said before, have backup gear. And then the second thing is that, do you have the clientele that's going to purchase your services and going to want that enhancement that you just spent umpteen dollars on to use and you're going to get full use of it. And again, you can keep that item for years, yes. But also you should be looking at what is the next new hot thing to go to.
Well, if I may, speaking of the new hot thing, they've come out with all kinds of gadgets and tubes and bubble machines that have, smoke inside of them and so forth and so on. Mm-hmm. And Brian famously said this years and years ago, that before he purchases something, can I book events that it will pay for it first? If I'm going to get this, is it going to pay for itself? I'm paraphrasing Brian, but it was sound advice. And he gave that probably 10 years ago, sell the service before you buy the darn equipment,
Yeah. Don't play a photo booth if no one's asking for photo booth.
Right. I was just going to say,
if you want to sell uplights and all that, it totally works.
It might.
Hardcore gear, it's a different animal a little bit, because you're like, I already have this. And side note, all the gear from all the manufacturers, there's a process where phone calls are made, emails are sent out, and the general DJ populace is asked questions. The problem I have with it all the time is everyone is going to say, this is awesome, because they want to saddle up with you.
Right.
When the pretty girl wears a nice dress, even if it looks terrible on her and she goes out to the bar and says, what do you guys think? You look amazing.
Yeah.
Because they want to get with the pretty girl.
I had a meeting with a company. Yeah, just recently, Jay, just speaking of that, before you go into your next thought. I had a meeting with a company recently where they showed me all kinds of equipment. They put it right out in front of me. And I flat out said, no one needs any of this.
Yeah.
This is not doing any good for anyone.
Right.
Could I do a video talking about it? Of course I could, if you'd like me to, but none of this stuff is doing anything for anybody. We've seen this before.
Mm-hmm.
This is no different. What makes this unique? What reason are you giving people to actually make a purchase here?
100%. Everyone's running after the dollar, and it's difficult at times. And Brian, you and I have known each other now for 15 years. So we've seen each other at shows.
Right.
Over that time.
Yeah.
You look at the difference of the Chicagoland Mobile Beach show, the gear that we were showing.
There was some unique stuff.
And what we show now. and the frequency of release, like Matt brought up, there was a lifespan of 2 to 3 years on a piece of gear, and then another piece of gear, and then another Mark II, Mark III, Mark IV. Now it's changed dramatically, not only due to COVID and the shipping issues and getting chips and all that, but there's also that window of, does the market need to go here? And when it went to controllers, that's when all bets got off, because now it's based on software. If the software companies start changing it up, we have to. Example, the new Flex 10 has stems buttons. Well, guess what? Stems was already out. So that's a response to, hey, this software has this thing called stems. Let's put hard buttons on it.
You could have mini-mapped your pads to do the same thing.
Well, you totally could have. But you know what? You could have totally mapped your pads to run lighting.
Right.
And then suddenly somebody like Pioneer comes along and says, hey, we have a box.
Right.
When somebody else did it earlier or did it differently. It's like everyone has said, and I think it's probably the best advice I've heard yet on this show when it comes to consistency. You get what you need to do the job you need to do. I always want 4-channel controllers or mixers. Why? Because when I started, you might have a channel go out. So you could move the RCA plugs over. Now, do I use 4 decks? Absolutely not. But I love knowing that I can move things. And even in a software, if you're using 2 channels, but let's say for some weird reason, it goes out on the screen, but you can move it to another channel, to me, that's a huge asset.
Yes.
So I'm the guy that fights against 1 mic, 2 channels. I want 2 or 3 mics.
Give us more.
And 4 channels. And everyone goes, but DJs want smaller now. Well, because the new generation of DJs don't have the old day experience.
Right.
They're not old enough to remember, you could lose channel 1 on a mixer.
Well, they'll figure it out eventually.
I moved my RCAs over to 3.
The hard way, but they'll figure it out.
Right. The old guys only know what's happened to them so far. The young guys,
this is reminiscent of old school, Matt. Did you, Matt? I'm not being mean. I'm asking.
Understood.
Tell me the God's honest truth here. Do you know that if you take your headphones at a gig and plug them into your microphone, you can talk through your headphones?
Yes.
Through the microphone. No, I'm asking if Matt knows it though. Did you know that?
As long as there's a built-in mic, right? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Oh, the speaker is the mic.
Doesn't matter.
Regular headphones. If you didn't know, I'm not making fun of you.
Right.
But this again is one of those old school 30, 25 year ago things where we said, I forgot my mic, and you took your headphone plug and moved it to the front, went into the quarter, and it sounds terrible, but it will give you a microphone in an emergency.
Here, this will bake your noodle, Matt. Did you know that you could do the same thing in reverse?
Yes.
That if you lose your headphones, you can actually plug your microphone into your headphone jack and hear your music through your microphone.
Microphones.
That one makes more sense to me.
Here's a pair of Pioneer headphones, and you just take it. Hello, and it'll work as a microphone. It really will.
And I'm not making fun of you, Matt.
No, I understand.
The younger generation didn't have to go through the lack of technology where you had to come up with, how do I get this to work? Oh, I'll split these 2 cables. If you use Serato Pro DJ with a CDJ turntable and you flip the RCAs red and white over, the decks will spin backwards. It's just part of the software.
Right.
I still get calls where it says, hey, all of a sudden the decks are going backwards. And I'm like, check your RCAs. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, red might be in white. And they'll come back to me with like, yeah, that's exactly what it was. I'm like, it's part of the software. It's actually made to run in reverse if those 2 little red and white things go backwards.
Hey,
it's the old school.
Yeah, before we end, we haven't heard from Boss.
I was going to say, John hasn't said anything.
Road Dog's just been sitting here taking it all in.
Whoa, wait a second.
Road Dog.
Yeah. These are all just tools that we have to make our job easier. If new gear makes you do your job more efficiently or brings some joy back to you, that's why you buy the shiny stuff.
Yeah.
These all have platters. They all have stop and start buttons. It's the same thing. I mean, when all you really need is a 10 millimeter socket, do you need to buy the $700 toolkit? Sure, if you want to have everything in the world, but you really just need the 10 millimeter socket.
It's the 10 millimeter that's always missing.
It's always
Depends
missing.
on how good the Snap-on salesman is.
That's my decision on that. You got two pieces of gear. You got one you use, one's a backup. If one starts acting up, then it's time to look around and maybe do a little research and maybe potentially go shopping. But don't just buy it because it's new, it's on the shelf. Got to have it now. It's
Right.
Let other people buy it. Let them go through the problems with it. Let them work the bugs out and do the recalls. Then I'll buy one.
I think
Right.
and this might sound cruel, but I think inexperience sells gear. I think those who just don't understand that they actually have to think about what they're doing to be better. It's really the key to this. The new piece of equipment isn't going to make you a better DJ.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
it's not the car, it's the driver.
Right. Yeah. I mean, those stupid Indy 500 cars are all the same damn car. One's not faster than the other. It's
I
the
can't
stupid driver that
do a
wins
lap
races.
there without killing myself. Those guys can. Tiesto jumps on my controller, he'd kill it.
Yeah.
But it's also, you got to realize in DJ world, probably 75% of the night when it comes to equipment is the music, if not even more.
Mhm.
Like the gear is simply a vehicle to get it to play out to the crowd.
Right.
It's all going to play out to the crowd. You could just hook your laptop up, go off the headphone jack, hit play on this deck, hit play on that deck.
Right.
And we know DJs that do that. But
That's a good point.
it
Yeah.
makes your job easier and more creative as an artist if you have something in front of you that inspires you to be creative.
I will just throw this in because I think it's relevant. I probably buy equipment for different reasons than most. Probably. Because when I see something released that's new, I ask myself one simple question.
How much
This-
does it weigh?
It's going to make my life easier. You know?
Mm.
Yeah.
Is it going to make my life easier? If not, I'll pass.
Yeah.
If it's heavier, if it's more convoluted, if it's harder to program or control, or it weighs like, a metric ton, I don't need this thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's not going to help me.
Right.
And,
You love that RR, remember? The
I
one we
love
had in
the
Vegas in the
RR.
chill room.
yes,
You were like all excited. I'm like, this is the smallest one we have on
this
the
is a
show.
little
No,
one.
this
Who
is
cares? I'm like,
perfect.
this is what's so cool about it.
But see, that's it. Versus other guys are like, no, I need full size platters and I need this and I need that. It doesn't. But again, it's the individual DJ's needs
Yeah.
that oftentimes dictate in the real world what they should use.
When
Today,
Yeah.
DJs don't understand their needs. They just
When I
want
was-
the latest and greatest.
After I had my thing, I had to downsize, and I still have, and it's very manageable now. But when I was doing this, I was listening to other DJs who were saying things like, hey, you know what? I'm not a kid anymore. I got back problems. I was thinking about retiring because the stuff's too heavy. Maybe this is a really good thing for me too. So that got me thinking, okay, there's a market for people who want smaller.
And we hear it
stuff,
all the time, Brian.
but without losing quality of performance.
Right.
All the time. I hear it.
And that's, when I was doing a lot of gear videos, I was trying to just simply show this is what it is and this is what it does for me. Apply it to you. I never tried to insinuate buy this or you're gonna lose the shop kind of thing. That was never the oh my God, you need to have this or you're just an obsolete DJ. No, it was never that. I do know people out there who are born salespeople and they can't help but to sell. And you know what?
Right.
I don't worry about what anybody else is doing. I worry about
And
what
also,
I do.
yeah.
Well, I want to thank everybody for being here. Matt, thank you so much for the wonderful topic and for all your work there with your little PowerPoint. That was really cool. I really enjoyed that. So, folks, we will be back next week. And if you have any comments or topics you'd like us to cover, leave them down in the comments below when this gets published. Until then, we'll see you next week.